Who's your emergency contact? Who should notify in case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I've spent the last 2+ decades of my life. Right now, I'm in Atwater. It's 2008, 2009. I'm in the SHU. I went there in December, and I think I got back out around May. And it was rough going. You know, my cellie was a paranoid schizophrenic, the homie named Tigo. But the lieutenant in the SHU recognized that, you know, we couldn't stay in that cell too long with each other. So he's under investigation. He's gonna get shipped out because of the incident with James and Joe killing the guard. I'm going back out to the compound, but before I go out, I have to fucking deal with my investigation. And now, not only did I get written up for attempted introduction, I got written up for a group demonstration when we took the team and bucked. But when I went and got sanctioned, they moved me to a cell by myself for about 30 to 40 days until Tigo got sanctioned for the group demonstration. Then they brought his ass up because they have different tiers. Tiers for people that's already got their sanction and doing their SHU time, and a tier for people that is waiting to get their sanction. So when I got my sanction, they put me in another cell. 2 weeks later, Tigo went and got his sanction, and they threw him back upstairs with me. But once our sanction was up, because he's still under investigation, waiting for a transfer, they moved him out back to his old cell. So I was in the SHU for about 5 months, but I didn't have to spend every single day of that with Tigo, which was a blessing. But like, we got along. Nothing ever happened between me and him, but it's just hard living with someone in a cell 24/7. So come May, they finally let me back out. You know, when they let me out, you know, the homies and all them, my homie Billy, he runs a poker table. You know, everything, we just go back into our old routine. You know, I go back with my homeboy Layton, start training again, start working out. I worked out the whole time I was in the SHU. So I just really got back into my regular routine. Well, one day, you know, this is the evening yard. The homie Billy said, "Hey man, can you go out there and run my poker table for me? I got something I got to take care of and do." I said, "Sure." You know, he's running a no limit Texas Hold'em, but the buy-in's 2 books. Books are stamps. Each book is worth about $5. So he just had a small table, and it's a 2-book buy-in, whatever, like that's the minimum you can buy in. So he tells me the rules. He said, "Man, don't let him split the pot. Don't let him do this. Don't let him do that." Whatever, all the rules that apply to the poker game. So I go out there and I run the poker game for him. And when one of the hands, there's this black dude from New York named Sam. You know, a skinny black dude. And our older homie, Dana. They're in a hand playing, and they bet everybody out of the hand. So it's just them 2 left. And they're like, "Hey, you guys want to split the pot?" This and that. You know, they're talking amongst each other. "Hey, you want to split the pot?" I said, "No." I said, "Wait, stop." I said, "You can't split the pot." You know, and Dana, to give you a little background, Dana, you know, he caught his case back in the 80s. Double homicide. He escaped from prison to go kill these 2 individuals because they were testifying on a case. He's out there from Hawaii, and the Hawaiian prison system felt that he was too dangerous and had too much influence, so they shipped him out and contracted him to the feds. And he's been in the federal system, when I met him at this time, for over 30 something years already. You know, I want to say 33, 35 years. But, you know, everybody, I've heard about him when I first came to the feds, and from all account, he's a very dangerous individual. While he was on the yard in Atwater, all the Hawaiians outside of Bryson was all scared of him. You know, Bryson didn't give a fuck about him. Bryson knows him, knows about him, but he didn't look at him like in awe or in fear like the rest of the other Hawaiians did. So he looks at me and he says, like, what you say? I say, you can't split the pot. This is what you mean. That's his money. He can do whatever he wants to do with it. I said, well, he can do whatever he wants to do with it. He's just not going to split the pot right here, right? If he wants to help you out at the end of the game, he can do that. But he's not splitting the pot. So the table got a little silent. Because everybody, they don't know me. I just came to the compound, and I wasn't even out there long before I went to the shoe. So the people that's playing poker, they have no idea who this little skinny dude with glasses is, but they all know who Dana is, and they all know that he's like, you know, a legend in the feds, a dangerous individual. So he tells me, hey, bro, watch how you talk to me, bro. So I just look at him, I just tell him, I talk to you how you talk to me. And again, the whole poker table went silent. I don't know what they were expecting, but they knew there was tension. But on my part, I'm just running the game. And I'm running it the way that the homie told me to run it. So I don't give a fuck who you are. These are the rules. And I'm going to enforce it. So there's a moment of silence, and then Sam, the guy from New York, is like, hey, man, just forget it. Let's just play. He goes, I'll help you out later at the end of the game or whatever. And we continue to play. So at the end of the game, you know, about 15 minutes before they call yard recall, I see Dana get up. They got the other Hawaiian dude named Boo Boo. And another Hawaiian next to him is J-Boy. J-Boy, Johnny Boy, whatever. I don't remember their name. So I see him get up. I already know there's tension. So I'm not going to be getting caught slipping. I always have, you know, my knife on me. It's mandatory when you move around. So when I see him get up and walk off, you know, I put all the poker chips and everything, the cards and everything back in the bag. And I pull my knife out. And I slip it in my pocket, you know, so that way, because, you know, everything is, you have it on a string. And you have it tied up so where if the guards run up on you, you can tuck it. So if they pat you down, they might miss it. I mean, they'll find it if they strip you out, but you can tuck it if they're just patting you down. But it doesn't do you any help if you're in a confrontation. So I had time, so I slipped it out. I put it in my pocket. I'm sitting on the bench. I'm not sitting on it, but I got my foot on the bench and just waiting because I know what they're doing. They're walking around having a conversation because, you know, Dana feels like he's a guy of this higher tier, and who am I to even dare to speak to him in the manner that I spoke to him? But for me, he might be the Hawaiian's big homie, and some other people might look at him like he's a big homie because, you know, when he came into the feds, he grew up with the black hand and the MA. So when he was in Victorville, all the Mexicans and the white boys, they treated him and gave him the respect like he was one of the big homies. So when he came to Atwater, he carried himself like that, like he was the big honcho. But in the Asian Islander car, we don't got no big homies. I don't got no big homie. You're not from my hood. I don't know you from Adam. I'm going to respect you because you're an OG and you've held it down and you've done what you've done. And I'm going to give you that respect. But when you start thinking you're my dad, that's a whole different story, you know? So I'm waiting. I'm not running to go tell my homeboy about the situation or anything like that. I'm just like, fuck it. This is how they want to deal with it. They're going to deal with it, and we'll see what happens. So I'm watching them. They walk around the side of the fence. You know, we're in yard 2. There's no track in yard 2. The only track is in yard 3. So when he comes by the basketball court, because the table is right in front of the basketball court, the two Hawaiian, kind of veered off. And Dana walked over by himself. So he comes out, I'm standing there, he's standing there. And I don't know what to expect, because I've heard about this individual. And I can see the way that he's there, the way since I've been there, he carries himself like he's the big homie, and all the Hawaiian dudes around him are all scared and they do his bidding and all that shit. He be punking them and whatever. Like one time when we was out there, some guy was trying to sell a pair of boots. I think maybe a Timberlands, or it was a nice pair of boots, and the guy wanted 15 bucks for it. So he's like, yeah, let me take that. Let me get that. He gets the boots. Then he goes tell Boo Boo, the other Hawaiian dude, say, hey, give him 15 bucks. He didn't ask if the guy had, some money, if he could buy. He just told the other Hawaiian dude to pay for the boots, right? And Boo Boo did. So for me, if people allow you to do those things and whatever, hey, more power to you. So when he comes back, I'm not really sure what to expect. And it caught me a little off guard, when the words came out of his mouth. He's like, hey, I want to apologize to you for how I acted at the table. That kind of threw me for a loop. But, I'm not going to let nobody rock me to sleep. So I'm still conscious and still aware, and my senses still heightened. Maybe it's like a false flag or whatever. But he was like, I walked around with the homeboys, and they, everything I heard about you is good, and they told me you're a good homie. And I shouldn't be speaking to that like that to a good homie. And my response was, hey, I apologize too. I'm sorry the tone that I used when I spoke to you, but I was just talking to you the way you were talking to me, because we're both men. And just like you're not going to allow me to speak to you in a certain way, I'm not going to allow anybody else to do that. But outside of that, it's all respect. And after our little conversation, we had an understanding. And the one thing I can say about Dana, if you're a weenie, he's going to push up on you. He's going to lean on you. And he's going to do whatever he do, whatever you allow him to get away with. But once he respects you, and he sees you're someone that's deserving of respect, then you're on equal footing. And through the course of our time, we had a lot of inside jokes about, for lack of better terms, these dude boys around us. So, but that's anything in the penitentiary, man. It's really not about size. It's just about, are you willing to stand up for your principles? And if people see that, they're going to respect that. And if they don't respect that, then you make sure they respect it. Welcome to the USP.